GMGAGE. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another episode of Cup of Joe with W3JOE. That's Web3 Job Ops and Events. They power these spaces. We're on every Wednesday, every Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and they are your hub, home base, and headquarters for all things Web3 talent and recruitment. We come together once again every Wednesday, every Friday on these spaces over a cup of coffee to discuss how you can land your dream job over uh, spaces over a cup of coffee. The coffee is optional, but we are happy to have you every single time, whether you're listening live here on X, whether you're listening recording here on X, on Spotify, or on YouTube. We have a very special guest with us here today, Gabi Musayev. He is he's on the marketing team over at Daylight Energy. He's ex-Galxe, ex-Serotonin, and he knows a ton about this topic on getting hired in Web3. Gabby, it shows you as a listener, but I just heard you speaking, testing. Do we have you there?
I'm here.
Okay,
Come.
perfect. Awesome. How you doing today?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for making the time. How's everything going on your end?
It's good. Good, busy, exciting stuff going on in our world.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, hopefully we can hear a little bit more about that today and how we can support as well. But let's go ahead and jump into it. We're not here for too long, so we want to make the most of the time we have. I did my best to give an intro, but on your side, could you let the listeners know who may be less familiar a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and how you got started doing it?
Sounds good. So I'm the head of marketing at Daylight. We are a decentralized energy company, essentially turning homes into power generating hubs, um, and turning that electricity into on-chain financial asset. Before this, I worked at Galaxy, the community growth platform, as the head of marketing. And prior to that, I worked at Serotonin, which is the premier Web3 marketing agency. Before getting into Web3, I came from the traditional advertising world, where I worked on global consumer brand marketing at agencies Anomaly and Vice Media. So my experience kind of sits at the intersection of tech and advertising and culture. Started earlier on with music, that led me into branding and advertising, and then I got pulled into Web3, I guess, through the promise of the technology and all the exciting things going on in our space. Um, so yeah, that's the high level.
Beautiful. Congrats, man. I mean, you've been around the block. You've had success here in Web3, which means you're the perfect person to talk to. What are some of your favorite milestones that come to mind when you think about your time here in Web3?
Joining Galaxy was an exciting opportunity to go brand side as a marketing lead, helping them through their rebrand. I think was definitely an exciting opportunity. I think a lot of their team and product really centered around the APAC region, and helping them kind of break into the North American market was exciting. They also launched a layer one called Gravity, so just doing the whole go to market strategy for Gravity. We did a go to market at Consensus Austin a few years ago with a drone show that led into a live stream at the actual event. So it was exciting to just shake up the traditional go to market strategy playbook. And then at Daylight, I've been here for close to a year, so really relaunching the brand, building it from scratch, from the ground up, and putting it on the map in under 6 months has been exciting.
And what are some things you look for when you're considering whether or not a team aligns with your goals and values?
I guess I would have to start with passion for this space. Those That type of thing can't really be taught. You need to have like the natural motivation by what it is that we're doing in Web3. This this nascent experimental industry, which is it's slowly kind of maturing. But I think at a baseline, just having an excitement and passion for the promise of the technology. Have you Do you own NFTs? Have you bought tokens? Have you experimented with DeFi? Are you kind of native to the technology? Do you use it in your day to day? I guess to a certain degree, personal brands. I think there's a power in personal brand. That definitely not a requirement, but just being contributing publicly. Whether it's writing or designing things or whatever your skill is, being able to show that, whether it's publicly or privately, I think is important. So yeah, it's ultimately like I think we all follow the breadcrumbs based on the curiosity of what Web3 promises, and the space is wide open. So I guess being able to demonstrate that is definitely important.
And where does your passion for the space come from?
I think just like the permissionlessness of Web3. I think a technology that anyone can interact with or contribute to or build around. There is not a specific playbook for how you build products or market products or build teams around it. It's very just given the nature of it being so nascent and new. I think it opens the door to new kinds of creative strategies on how you build a product or build a personal brand. And I just like that blank canvas that it offers.
Yeah, I relate to a lot of that. Also, you mentioned personal brand a couple times now already, and I also appreciate that you mentioned already that it's not absolutely necessary, especially depending on the different roles you fill out in this space. But I want to ask you, like, in regarding a personal brand, how important is it, would you say, to be visible in general, whether that means on the timeline, whether that means in IRL events, whether that means in Telegram chats, whatever that means on LinkedIn? How important is it to be visible in order to create opportunities for yourself in this space?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's twofold. One, I think you need to have the time and the resources, and ultimately, I think the personality to want to put yourself out there publicly. I think it's beneficial depending on the type of role that you have, the type of service that you provide. Um, find it maybe more helpful if you're working on the agency side where you're providing services to many different customers. I personally find it challenging to balance building personal brands and building brands of the product that you're leading marketing at. But it's a personality thing. It's a willingness. It's a passion for wanting to do it. I think it requires a steady momentum and a constant cadence of showing up. But there's different. I think there's varying degrees on what a personal brand can look like. I think at minimum, people should strive to show their work publicly, to champion the products or the projects that they're working behind, just to show visibility and activity on your feeds. It doesn't need to be multiple posts a day, but at least checking in with the timeline, once a week, once every 2 weeks to show people that there's activity, there's movement, there's stories to be told. Those type of things also hold you accountable. I think by just keeping the momentum going on your personal side is important. But yeah, it's definitely a personal decision. It's not for everyone, but it definitely has its advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, shout out to Monk Node, Heathcliff. Shout out Andrew. Shout out May. Shout out to the Daylight official account for jumping in here. Iceman, we see you. Appreciate you joining us. Um, on that same note, resumes. So resumes are something that, again, not super necessary for every single role. I'm a recruiter in the space, so I deal with resumes a lot. But oftentimes in the space, it's purely on a referral basis, and it's just based on your timeline is your feed is your resume, whatever. But in terms of resumes, and in general, just exemplifying the work and the value that you bring, what goes into a good resume and or a good portfolio in general of work?
Yeah, I think if you're putting yourself out there and you're actively on the search, resumes obviously table stakes. My general philosophy on resumes is keep it clean and tight. Keep the narrative there. I think try adding elements to make it pop in the sense of people aren't reading every single word on your resume, so guide them visually based on the important parts. Highlight the type of projects you worked on, the type of budgets you've managed, really the impact and growth, anything that's kind of a driver of building your candidacy. And then it also helps to figure out how do you visualize or show the type of work that you've contributed in your past experiences. And that that doesn't I think with designers portfolios is one thing, but I think other professionals can come up with their own versions of what a portfolio looks like. But at the very least, it could be a one sheeter that links out docs to blogs that you've written, strategies that you've come up with, creative direction that you've led. But I think it helps to show visually something that can pair with the resume. But resumes, yeah, keep them clean, keep them tight, highlight the important parts, emphasize data and growth, and ultimately tailor it to the opportunity that you're looking for. I think, and anytime I've looked for jobs in the past, I've made resumes, I think, that are custom tailored to what the recruiter or company is looking for, just to make sure that you're guiding the recruiter through kind of relevant information.
Yeah, I think that's the punchline, man. It's like guide the people to what you want them to see. Help people help you understand at the end of the day, whatever your role applying you're applying for, they want to fill that role, right? And they want you to be that person. So help them help you at the end of the day. And also, it comes down to just like coming prepared, right? Oftentimes, just having something that shows, hey, this is the work that I bring, and this is the work that I've done. It just that in itself sends a message that, hey, I want this, and I might want this a little bit more than somebody who doesn't have that. You got your resume, you figured out your personal brand, you figured out your passion and what niche you want to dive into the space. What are some ways to actually get that conversation started with a potential employer?
I think there's so many ways to do it, but a couple of effective strategies I've seen people use on me. One, attend events, show up to the booth, try to find the hiring manager. I found that is, that those type of actions really help you stand out. Reply to people's tweets, figure out a way to stand out in a creative way, whether it's thoughtful questions, it's a funny meme, DM people, reply to the comments. Um, don't overdo it. I think position yourself in a way that feels authentic, without overdoing it. I think lots of people get inundated with cold outreach in their inboxes across all of their different platforms. So figure out ways to creatively kind of stand out. I think in person really helps. Go to events. Ultimately, find people in your social circle. Social proof goes a long way. If you can find someone that knows someone, an intro goes a long way. But yeah, keep it authentic, keep it short, less fluff. Um, Maybe references to something specific that you launched or tweeted that might be relevant to that person or the hiring entity. I think those type of things work really well.
Yeah, one of my favorite ways I've heard it said is like if it's a cold outreach, make it a warm outreach. And you have the opportunity here in Web3 to do just that, right? With everything being so connected, whether it's through IRL events, whether it's through collaborations, whether it's somebody on that team being a part of the NFT community that you love, or a part of a spaces community that you love, or whatever it is. There's a lot of opportunity in this space to turn that cold outreach into a warm one, especially if you're genuinely passionate. There's got to be a connection somewhere that you can find. And yeah, don't sleep on IRL events. That's absolutely alpha. And now it's time to actually have the conversation, right? So I stray away from the word interview again, because in Web3 sometimes it can be more of a formal interview and sometimes it can be more of a casual conversation. But when it comes to having that initial conversation with a potential employer, what are some things people should keep in mind in order to make sure that they successfully exemplify the value that they bring?
I think it's find ways to demonstrate ownership. Um, Tell people about times that you've shipped things from end to end. I think people appreciate knowing that you own things and have total control of them. Obviously, highlight accomplishments, demonstrate, the way of thinking. Um, what have you accomplished, short term, medium term, long term? I think those type of fast qualities are important during the hiring process. There's hard skills and soft skills. I think people gravitate towards people that are well rounded. I think the nature of our industry is lots of early stage startups operating with lean teams, and being able to wear multiple hats and demonstrate that you provide value beyond your specific discipline is important. So how do you show that value? Is it operational excellence? Is it project management? How can you demonstrate that you're kind of an accountable person? Those things are all really important. I think people want to, one, know that you can deliver on your discipline, but two, are you reliable? Are you accountable? Are you able to own things and work autonomously without hand holding. I think those are the type of things people want to see in candidates, because it ultimately makes your job easier if you're hiring people that can truly own things. Um, and yeah, I think demonstrating those things, being able to communicate them really clearly, communication skills are obviously really important. Figure out ways to document things in writing, I found is a really important quality as well. Writing goes a long way. Get your ideas down in paper. So anything you can show in writing is definitely helpful as well.
Yeah, well said. Getting into writing is always good advice. It's always good advice. You don't want to learn that the hard way. Uh, Gabby, as somebody who has experience in more senior level positions, which we don't always have the opportunity to get into here on this space, can you give us an idea of like what your favorite interview questions are? Whether some that you've heard in interviews you've been the interviewee on, or interviews you've been the interviewer on. What are some of your favorite interview questions to touch on?
I think one of my favorites, either to be asked or to ask, is depending on the context of the project that you're working with, is who in the competitive set is doing something similar that resonates, or something that resonates positively or negatively. I think it demonstrates that you have your ear to the ground on what the competition is doing, what people are doing well around you. What formulas you could potentially emulate, or draw inspiration from. If I'm hiring a designer, I want to know, which branding do you love the most? Who's doing marketing and branding the best? If you're a content writer, whose blog sections are the best? What are the thought leadership pieces that really stand out? I want to understand. I think being well rounded means that you're keeping your ear to the ground, and you know what the competition is doing, so you know how to navigate the space, and figure out ways to differentiate the value that you're providing. That's a really important one, I think. Um, I think it really demonstrates. Um, it demonstrates, I think, so many different things. Are you passionate about the space? Are you active in it? Are you um, did you really understand what the landscape looks like around the job that you're looking for? So yeah, that's definitely a good one.
No, that's a strong one, and I think you're right. I think it exemplifies a lot. It exemplifies obviously your passion for the space in general, but also your passion for your specific niche that you say you bring to the table, right? So that's a good one. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Um, what are some good ways to negotiate an offer? Again, this is more like mid-level, senior level. If you're more junior level, you're looking to more just get your foot in the door. But it's an important conversation, especially for those who have had less experience getting to this step. What advice would you have for people listening in terms of making sure that both parties walk away with a good deal?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways to approach it. One, there's resources online that can tell you, based on the number of years of experience you have, and the title that you have, what is the range that the salary falls into. Obviously, talk with your peers. Try to get a sense of, some people are maybe sensitive information, so approach those conversations as you will. But I think asking for ranges of what people are making is a good place to start. Obviously, Web3 has salary tokens and equity, which are slightly different from Web2 jobs. So figure out, how bullish are you on a project? Are you willing to potentially take on more token equity versus salary? Um, I think build in potential milestones that you can hit within 6 months or 12 months. I think it helps to bake in specific things in the negotiating process. I think it shows that you're dedicated to the opportunity and want to see like the long term potential of it working out. But yeah, I think those are good places to start. I think on the other end of it, the person that's doing the hiring, I think they have pretty clear um, guardrails of what a salary range should fall into based on years of experience and the title that you're previously coming from. So I think keep it reasonable. Definitely aim high, but keep it keep it reasonable within reach. I think you want to make sure that it's grounded in the reality of your experience and your role. Um, those type of things, I think, communicate that you're have your ear to the ground and really understand and did your research. But don't be afraid to negotiate. Just be informed and keep it grounded is ultimately my advice.
It's great advice. Be informed, and keep it grounded. Yeah, absolutely. Look for that win-win. Every week we try to touch on a specific aspect of the getting hired process. This week we're talking roles in Web3 in general. So for a couple questions, I want to focus on this topic. What advice do you have, Gabby, for folks who may not be sure where their place in Web3 actually is? They know they have a passion, but they don't know exactly where their place is.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think there are roles that centered around community that I think are multifaceted. You could have community managers, you can have community strategists, leaders, moderators, architects of community. There's lots of ecosystem plays. Um, Lots of projects interact with different layers of the tech stack. So I think, are you a people person? Are you good at business development? Are you good at managing relationships? Figure out what your strengths are, what your superpowers are, and figure out what those roles are on the Web3 side of things. If you come from a finance background, you're into economics, you're intrigued by tokens, token strategists, DeFi strategists, figure out, I think, what your discipline is, what your passion is, and figure out how those roles are described in Web3. They're usually framed differently in Web3, but I think they have parallels to the Web2 world. There's some jobs that just didn't exist 5 years ago that exist now. So are you a multifaceted person? How can you combine your skill sets into specific roles? There's also some traditional roles that are more familiar. Marketers, designers, those type of things I think are strong ones are hard to find, but they exist, and I think I definitely encourage people to, you know, Web3 is technology, and I think don't be afraid to dip your toe into it and look for exciting opportunities there. Um, but yeah, I think there's lots of unique roles in Web3. If you go, read into the job descriptions and figure out ultimately what characteristics and qualities they're looking for in those roles, and figure out whether those align with your skill set, your passions, your areas of expertise, and I think you'll find something there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that point of like taking advantage of all of the junior entry level community roles, multifaceted roles, is a great way to kind of get your foot in the door, and kind of start trying out a lot of different things, and let your path take you from there. I think that's really good advice. Um, how do you define success in your roles?
Um, I think showing impact is a great way to define success. That can come in the form of lots of different ways. Um, have you written blog articles or thought leadership pieces um, that have gotten strong engagements or high impression counts or like counts on Twitter? Can you point back to things that you've led creatively and strategically that have resonated with audiences? Have you come up with storytelling mechanisms for your brand that galvanize communities behind them, where people are either memeing the content or the idea, or creating supplementary content that comes off the back of an announcement or a blog article or something like that. Um, Showing growth and data, are the follower counts increasing? Is the engagement rate high? Those type of ways, are easy to show success. Um, I think ultimately, are your stories resonating? You can find that feedback in the comment section and in the Discord channels. Um, are people asking thoughtful questions, or are there just bots interacting with your posts? I think it's easy to decipher the difference between those two things. Um, but yeah, I think those are ultimately it. It's that show your impact. There's lots of different ways to show your impact, whether it's content that you created through writing or through design, strategies that you put into place that have shown growth. If there's data to back it up, those are ultimately ways to define your success.
Yeah, man, I love how you phrase things. You keep it simple. You go straight to the core. Show your impact. Show your impact. One way or another. Show your impact. And then I also appreciate what you said. Is your story resonating? I mean, my marketing brain just loves hearing that. But is it or is it not? Right? And there's things you can look at to kind of quantify that. But very well said. We are almost at the top of the hour, which means we are almost out of time. I have just a few more questions. Shout out to Ado, shout out to Arowolo, shout out to Zeno, shout out to May, everyone in here listening, whether you're catching us live or on the recording. We appreciate you. We'll be on for just a few more minutes. Um, what is your favorite part of working in crypto, Gabby?
Um, Favorite part, I think, is the permissionlessness of it. I think from a creative standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, it's a white canvas to experiment, to try different things. I think the velocity of things that come out and the constant change, it's really like wired for momentum. There's really no other industry that is like it. I love that there is a single kind of communication channel in crypto Twitter that kind of acts like a town hall, in terms of catching the narrative and spreading the signal. So I think from a strategy standpoint, it's easier than needing to plan strategies for five different social platforms. Maybe eventually that will change in the future, but I think that's what I love about it right now. Um, Easier to stand out when the work is good. I think the bar has been low for a very long time, but it is starting to get better as the industry matures. And I think people from Web 2 enter the Web 3 space and bring their expertise here. But yeah, like permissionless kind of creativity. You don't need credentials to build something meaningful. There's so many tools at our disposal, through AI and various different, whether it's writing or designing with AI tools. I think you can become a well-rounded professional in your output. Um, your output can be different than it's ever been before. I think the velocity of technology and advancements paired with people that have their ear to the ground and understand how to use those tools, just make it a really exciting place to be in crypto right now. It's no longer kind of a single discipline world. It's how many hats can you wear, and how much value can you provide through that? I think that's ultimately what's really exciting about it.
Ah, you touched on so much, bro. You touched on so much, and I resonate with so much of it. Permissionlessness, the output, the ability to create at the rate that we're able to because of our alignment with AI and all these other amazing tools. And then also just like, yeah, your ability to stand out when the work is good. I really appreciate how you phrase that. And I've said it a million times on this show of just like the opportunity here to succeed and be rewarded for genuine, authentic passion for a project or a niche or whatever it is just exponential here. So I agree with so much of what you just said. And that brings us to the end of our show. I got just a couple more questions for you. One of them to wrap up this conversation. You've dropped a ton of game already, a ton of insights, but to wrap it up in like 30 seconds, 1 minute or less, what advice do you have for people listening who are interested in breaking into working in Web3 or advancing their career in Web3?
Um, show up, show up in people's DMs in events. Experiment with tools. Try things that make you feel uncomfortable. Experiment with coding tools. Experiment with design tools. Use AI as a thought partner to generate ideas and write content. Ultimately, just test and experiment and find things that make you happy, and get those ideas out in front of people and see what resonates. And I think it'll lead you down a path of success.
Show up, show up, and get your hands dirty. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Gabby, you've been a legend, bro. I got just one more question for you. For the people listening, how can we support you as well as the teams that you support, like Daylight Energy?
Follow along, follow the journey. We're exciting a bunch of announcing a bunch of exciting things at Daylight. The team will grow sooner rather than later. Right now, we're kind of heads down on a lot of different things. But with time, I think the scope of the project will grow and the team will grow. Join the Discord, lots of different ways to participate. Um, yeah, I think it's just be an active participant in the community and the ecosystem. Follow the projects that you love that excite you. Find natural ways to connect with people in those organizations.
Boom, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to support Gabby. Give him a follow. Make sure to support Daylight Energy. They're cooking up some cool things. Drop them a follow. Jump in the Discord. And shout out to all of you, Iceman, Ado, Andrew, Alex, Zeno, Arawolo, May, anyone listening to the recording, whether, again, that's here on X, Spotify, or YouTube. We are here every Wednesday, every Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, sitting down with legends in the space like Gabby to talk about how you can land your dream job in the space over coffee. They are powered by Web3 Job Ops, which is the main host. So make sure to show them some love. Jump in the Telegram in the bio if you are looking for a role in the space. And without further ado, that has been our time. We hope to see you next time. Gabby, one more time, thank you again, fam.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'll see you soon, and I will see the rest of you soon as well. Take care. We appreciate you. We're rooting for you, and we will see you soon.